In the intricate course of life, we are all bound to face assaults, some faint and distant, others near and immediate. These attacks, while often invisible, are as real and as consequential as any physical danger. They come in many forms: the whispering voices of doubt, the creeping sense of fear, the pressure to conform to outside expectations. Today, let us consider how we might cancel every such attack, not through mere resistance, but through a transformation of our approach to life itself. We must understand what these attacks are. They are the internal struggles that often go unnoticed, self-doubt that clouds our decisions, guilt that anchors our hearts, and fear that paralyzes us from taking action. Equally, there are external pressures, society's expectations, the judgments of others, and the trials of fate that seem to conspire against our happiness and success. These forces are relentless, persistent, and can, if allowed to dominate, shape the very contours of our lives. But here lies the first key insight: not all attacks are inevitable. Some are the result of internal dialogue, others, born of external influence, might be mitigated or even entirely dismissed if we possess the courage to confront them. The mind is a fortress. It is capable of withstanding tremendous forces when fortified with clarity, purpose, and understanding. One cannot overestimate the power of resisting negative self-talk, of choosing to reject narratives that do not serve your best interests. To cancel these attacks, you must first take the stance of a defender of your own mind and spirit. Attacks against one's life, both internal and external, often manifest in subtle and profound ways. To understand the nature of these attacks, we must first explore what they truly are and how they affect the individual. Internal attacks stem from the mind and emotions. They often take the form of self-doubt, insecurity, guilt, shame, or even fear. These forces, though intangible, are among the most powerful, as they have the ability to shape how we see ourselves and the world around us. Self-doubt, for instance, is a particularly insidious form of attack. It whispers to us that we are not good enough, that our efforts will fail, or that we are undeserving of success. When this thought becomes entrenched in the mind, it can hold us captive, paralyzing us from pursuing goals or making decisions. Over time, this doubt erodes confidence and leads to missed opportunities, underachievement, and a general sense of inadequacy. Similarly, guilt and shame are emotional attacks that can leave deep scars. These feelings often arise when we perceive ourselves as having failed in some way, whether through mistakes, broken promises, or missed chances. Guilt tells us that we have wronged others or ourselves, while shame reinforces the idea that there is something inherently wrong with who we are. These feelings can trap an individual in a cycle of self-punishment and regret, causing them to focus more on their past mistakes than on their potential for growth and improvement. It is important to recognize that guilt and shame, when left unchecked, can severely damage one's mental and emotional well-being, leading to a sense of hopelessness and despair. Fear is another internal attack that can prevent us from living fully. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown, all these variations of fear create barriers to personal growth. Fear often operates on the assumption that the worst possible outcome is inevitable, and this belief paralyzes us into inaction. For example, the fear of failure can lead someone to avoid taking risks or pursuing their dreams altogether. The fear of judgment can cause them to suppress their true thoughts and desires, conforming to the expectations of others rather than pursuing an authentic life. At its core, fear attacks the belief in one's ability to navigate challenges and emerge victorious. It convinces us that failure is final, when in fact it is often merely a stepping stone on the path to success. External attacks, on the other hand, come from the environment or from other people. These can take the form of societal expectations, criticism, or even tangible obstacles in life. Society, for instance, imposes its own set of standards about how we should look, what we should achieve, or who we should become. These societal pressures can weigh heavily on the individual, especially when they conflict with personal values or desires. The pressure to conform can lead individuals to question their worth or become dissatisfied with their own journey. A person might be made to feel as though they are failing because their life does not align with societal expectations of success, wealth, or status. Criticism, whether from peers, family, or strangers, is another external attack that can take a toll on one's psyche. While constructive criticism can be helpful, unwarranted or harsh criticism often leads to feelings of rejection and inadequacy. This form of attack is particularly harmful because it can affect an individual's self-esteem and sense of belonging. When criticized, a person may begin to internalize the negative judgments of others, which can ultimately shape their self-image and lead them to second-guess their decisions. For some, repeated exposure to criticism can create a constant fear of judgment, which in turn affects their confidence and decision-making. There are also external attacks that arise from uncontrollable factors, such as financial hardship, health challenges, or loss. These life events can create a sense of vulnerability and powerlessness. When facing such challenges, it is easy to feel as though life itself is conspiring against us. However, while these attacks are often unavoidable, it is essential to recognize that they do not define who we are or limit our potential. The key is to respond to these challenges with resilience, determination, and a sense of agency. It is in how we react to external attacks that we are truly tested and shaped. Understanding the nature of both internal and external attacks is crucial in learning how to protect oneself from their damaging effects. These attacks, whether they come from within or from the outside world, are not insurmountable. They are not permanent barriers to success or happiness, but rather temporary obstacles that can be confronted, mitigated, or even overcome. Recognizing the patterns of self-doubt, fear, guilt, societal pressure, and external criticism allows an individual to begin the process of dismantling these negative forces. It is only by becoming aware of the nature of these attacks that one can begin to take the necessary steps to defend themselves and eventually cancel the impact they have on their lives. To cancel every attack against your life, one must first understand the power of mental and emotional resistance. The human mind is a powerful tool, capable of great achievements and deep insights, but it is also vulnerable to destructive forces. These internal and external attacks we face can weaken our resolve, diminish our confidence, and distort our perception of what is possible. The key to overcoming these attacks lies in our ability to resist, to create mental fortitude, and to develop emotional resilience. This resistance is not about suppressing emotions or thoughts, but about developing the strength to face them without being overwhelmed or controlled by them. The first aspect of mental resistance is recognizing the power of thought. Our thoughts shape how we experience the world, and how we experience the world in turn shapes our reality. When we are confronted with doubt or fear, it is easy to let these negative thoughts dictate our actions. However, the act of consciously controlling our thoughts and reframing them can transform how we approach challenges. For example, instead of allowing self-doubt to take hold, one can practice positive affirmation, focusing on past successes and strengths. This shift in thought does not eliminate the negative feelings, but it allows us to break free from their grip and replace them with a more empowering perspective. By choosing to control our thoughts, we reclaim our mental power. Another powerful tool in mental resistance is awareness. Often we are unaware of the constant barrage of negative thoughts, doubts, and fears that occupy our minds. These thoughts can become so ingrained in our consciousness that we fail to recognize them as attacks. The first step in overcoming them is simply noticing when they arise. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation or journaling, can help us become more attuned to our inner dialogue, allowing us to observe thoughts without becoming attached to them. This awareness creates a space between the stimulus, the attack, and the response, our reaction. In this space, we gain the power to choose how to respond. We are no longer enslaved to automatic, negative thought patterns, but instead, we can choose to direct our mental energy toward thoughts that support our well-being and goals. Emotional resilience plays an equally important role in resisting attacks. Emotions are powerful and, when left unchecked, can cloud our judgment and lead to irrational actions. However, emotions themselves are not the problem. It is how we respond to them that determines their impact. Resilience involves developing the capacity to experience and process emotions without letting them dictate our behavior. For instance, when faced with criticism, one might feel hurt, angry, or embarrassed. These emotions are natural responses, but emotional resilience allows us to acknowledge these feelings without letting them consume us. We can experience the emotion, understand its source, and then choose how to respond in a constructive way. Rather than retaliating impulsively or withdrawing in self-pity, a resilient person may use the emotion as an opportunity for growth or reflection. Resilience is rooted in the ability to bounce back from setbacks. Life is full of challenges and disappointments, and attacks against our lives often come in the form of failures or obstacles. Resilience means not allowing these failures to define us. Instead of seeing a failure as an end, a resilient individual views it as part of the learning process. Failure, after all, is not final, it is simply feedback. When we resist the urge to be discouraged or defeated by setbacks, we maintain our momentum and continue moving forward. This mindset is critical in canceling attacks because it prevents us from being paralyzed by adversity and helps us stay focused on the path ahead. Mental and emotional resistance is deeply tied to the concept of self-belief. The stronger our belief in ourselves and our capabilities, the less impact external or internal attacks will have on us. When we truly believe that we have the power to overcome obstacles, we are far less likely to be swayed by doubt, criticism, or fear. This belief in oneself is not arrogance, but rather a deep understanding of one's inherent worth and potential. It is about trusting that we are capable of handling whatever life throws our way and that no attack, whether external or internal, can diminish our value. Cultivating self-belief requires practice and self-reflection. It involves recognizing our past achievements, understanding our unique strengths, and acknowledging that we are capable of growth. Mental resistance is also strengthened by developing a sense of purpose. When we have a clear sense of direction and understand why we are pursuing certain goals, we are less likely to be distracted or discouraged by attacks. A person who is driven by purpose can weather criticism and setbacks with greater ease, because their focus is not on the obstacles themselves, but on the larger vision they are working toward. Purpose provides clarity and motivation in the face of difficulty. It serves as a guiding light, helping us navigate through the storms of life. When we face attacks, whether from our own minds or from external forces, a strong sense of purpose allows us to stay grounded and reminds us that the challenges are only temporary. In cultivating mental and emotional resistance, we are not advocating for the suppression of feelings or the denial of challenges. Instead, it is a call to develop the resilience to face life's difficulties head-on, to build the mental strength necessary to overcome adversity, and to maintain emotional balance despite the inevitable ups and downs. The power to resist attacks lies in our ability to remain steadfast, grounded in our purpose, and confident in our capacity to move through any challenge. It is through this resistance that we can ultimately cancel the negative forces that threaten to derail our lives and unlock our full potential. Reclaiming control over one's life is a vital component in canceling the attacks that threaten to derail us. In the face of internal struggles like self-doubt or fear, and external pressures such as societal expectations or criticism, it is easy to feel helpless, as if life is being dictated by forces beyond our control. However, the truth is that we have far more control over our lives than we often realize. The power to reclaim our narrative lies within our ability to choose how we respond to circumstances rather than allowing them to dictate our actions. This autonomy is not about controlling every aspect of life, as some forces will always be beyond our grasp, but about taking full responsibility for the choices we make in how we react to and navigate through these challenges. At the core of reclaiming control is the understanding that we are not passive observers of our lives, but active participants. Life is not something that simply happens to us. We shape it through the decisions we make, the attitudes we adopt, and the actions we take. Every day presents an opportunity to choose, and it is through these daily choices that we assert control. Whether it's deciding to confront a challenge, choose a positive mindset, or take responsibility for our own growth, each choice has the power to influence the direction of our lives. A person who truly understands the power of choice realizes that even in the most difficult circumstances, they still have control over their response. This awareness shifts our perspective from being victims of circumstance to becoming active creators of our own reality. Reclaiming control also means letting go of the belief that everything around us must align with our desires in order for us to be happy. There is a common tendency to think that happiness and success are the results of perfect conditions, financial stability, a perfect relationship, or societal approval. While these factors can enhance our lives, they are not the source of our true sense of control or well-being. Instead, real control comes from the ability to find peace and purpose regardless of external conditions. When we relinquish the need for external validation or ideal circumstances, we free ourselves from the power that those external forces have over our sense of worth and happiness. True empowerment arises from within. It comes from the ability to cultivate contentment and resilience regardless of life's ups and downs. This mindset shift is a crucial part of reclaiming control because it means taking ownership of our own happiness rather than depending on external factors that are beyond our reach. Another critical aspect of reclaiming control is the practice of self-discipline. The mind and emotions, left unchecked, can lead us astray. They can cause us to act impulsively, make decisions based on fear or insecurity, or procrastinate on the very things that would propel us forward. Developing self-discipline allows us to consistently make choices that align with our long-term goals, rather than reacting impulsively to short-term temptations or distractions. This involves setting clear goals, creating a plan to achieve them, and sticking to that plan even when it becomes difficult. Self-discipline is the bridge between intention and action. Without it, even the best intentions can be derailed by distractions or emotional impulses. By committing to disciplined action, we reaffirm our ability to control the course of our lives and make consistent progress toward our vision, despite the many distractions or setbacks we may encounter. Equally important in reclaiming control is the ability to set boundaries. Boundaries are essential in protecting our mental and emotional energy from being depleted by external forces, such as the demands of others, negative relationships, or societal pressures. When we allow ourselves to be constantly influenced by the opinions and expectations of others, we surrender our autonomy and give away our power. Setting healthy boundaries involves clearly defining what we will and will not tolerate in our lives and communicating these limits to others. This is not about being rigid or selfish, but rather about creating a space in which we can operate from a place of strength, authenticity, and balance. When we set boundaries, we are signaling that our well-being and personal values take precedence over external pressures. In doing so, we regain control over how we spend our time, energy, and resources. Reclaiming control also requires the courage to confront and challenge limiting beliefs. Often, the greatest barrier to taking control of our lives is the internal narrative that we are not capable, not deserving, or not worthy of the success and happiness we desire. These limiting beliefs can stem from past experiences, societal conditioning, or negative feedback from others. They become so ingrained in our psyche that we may not even recognize them as false. Yet, if we are to reclaim control, we must first identify and challenge these beliefs. This involves questioning the validity of the thoughts that hold us back and replacing them with beliefs that are empowering and supportive. It is through this process of self-reflection and conscious rewriting of our internal narrative that we can free ourselves from the mental chains that prevent us from fully embracing our potential. Reclaiming control over our lives is about acknowledging that, while we cannot control everything, we can control how we choose to respond to the circumstances that arise. We are not victims of life's randomness or the whims of external forces. We are active agents, capable of shaping our destiny through the choices we make and the actions we take. By taking responsibility for our thoughts, emotions, decisions, and responses, we regain our power and steer our lives in the direction we want to go. It is through this process of active engagement and self-mastery that we cancel the attacks against our lives, reclaim our autonomy, and move toward a future of greater fulfillment and purpose. Faith and hope are integral components of overcoming life's attacks, providing a solid foundation that enables individuals to face adversity with courage and determination. They are not passive emotions or fleeting thoughts, but active, transformative forces that shape how we engage with the challenges in our lives. Hope, when properly cultivated, does more than offer comfort in difficult times. It serves as a beacon that guides us through dark moments, illuminating the path forward and motivating us to continue moving toward our goals, even when obstacles seem insurmountable. Faith, on the other hand, provides the inner strength needed to trust in ourselves, others, and the greater process of life. It affirms the belief that we have the ability to overcome hardships and that, even in the face of setbacks, there is a greater plan or purpose unfolding. At its core, hope is about maintaining an optimistic outlook despite the difficulties we encounter. It is the belief that no matter how bad things may seem in the present, the future holds the potential for improvement and resolution. Hope does not ignore the reality of suffering. Instead, it acknowledges it and chooses to see beyond it. This belief is crucial when facing life's challenges because it prevents despair from taking root. When we lose hope, we lose our drive to persist, and the attacks we face, whether from external forces or internal struggles, become far more powerful. However, hope acts as a shield, protecting our spirits from being crushed by the weight of difficulties. It reminds us that there is always potential for change, growth, and renewal, even after the darkest of times. Cultivating hope requires a deliberate effort to focus on the possibilities rather than the limitations. It involves training the mind to look for opportunities and solutions rather than dwelling on problems. This mental shift can be transformative as it allows us to approach adversity with a problem-solving mindset instead of being overwhelmed by the situation at hand. A hopeful person understands that every difficulty contains within it the seeds of growth and learning. By maintaining hope, we avoid becoming stagnant in our struggles and instead continue to evolve. Hope encourages us to keep moving forward, knowing that each step brings us closer to a brighter future, no matter how distant it may seem in the moment. Equally important to hope is faith, the trust that, despite the uncertainties of life, we are supported and that there is a higher purpose to our experiences. Faith is what allows us to believe in our ability to rise above challenges, even when we cannot immediately see the way forward. It is the quiet confidence that no matter how difficult or unclear the path may appear, we are not alone, and that the struggles we face have meaning, even if that meaning is not immediately apparent. Faith empowers us to trust in the process of life, knowing that every difficulty we face is part of a larger journey that ultimately leads to personal growth, wisdom, and fulfillment. Faith strengthens our resilience, because it assures that the hardships we experience are not permanent, they are temporary, and they serve a greater purpose in shaping us into the individuals we are meant to become. In the face of attacks, whether internal or external, faith provides us with the fortitude to endure. When we trust in ourselves and in the greater unfolding of life, we are able to face adversity with a sense of calm and assurance, knowing that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. Faith also allows us to let go of the need for immediate results or instant solutions. It teaches us patience, reminding us that some challenges require time to overcome and that the process of growth is often gradual. This perspective helps us to stay grounded and avoid the temptation to give up or become discouraged when progress seems slow or elusive. Faith assures us that even in moments of uncertainty, we are moving towards something greater. One of the most profound aspects of hope and faith is their ability to transform how we perceive failure and setbacks. When we approach challenges with hope and faith, we are less likely to view setbacks as signs of defeat or failure. Instead, we see them as part of the learning process, as necessary steps on the way to success. Hope teaches us to look beyond the immediate pain or frustration of failure and to focus on the long-term growth it will bring. Faith allows us to trust that every setback is ultimately leading us toward greater wisdom, strength, and resilience. In this way, hope and faith work hand in hand, not only helping us to navigate the attacks we face, but also enabling us to grow stronger through them. Hope and faith are crucial in overcoming negative self-talk and internal criticism. When we experience self-doubt, fear, or insecurity, these negative emotions can often feel overwhelming, making it difficult to take positive action. However, hope and faith offer a counterbalance to these feelings, reminding us that we are capable of overcoming the obstacles in our path. Hope encourages us to believe that the future holds greater potential, while faith empowers us to trust in our abilities and the journey ahead. This internal belief system provides a solid foundation for navigating challenges, ensuring that we do not become immobilized by the negativity that arises in times of stress or difficulty.